Well, here we are again. This is a continuation of the names of God done on the 10th, the 31st of 2017. I normally do not place dates, times, and things like that. But we're talking about the names of God. We've already covered half a dozen. We're going to the word shalom. The name is peace. When I went to Israel in 1973, I found out that you and I say good morning, we say hello, we say those kind of things. They say shalom. That is peace. The Judges 6:24. Then Gideon built an altar there unto the Lord and called it Jehovah Shalom. He used two of God's names. Unto this day it is yet an offer of, and it's Abiezrites, Abiezrites. And then as one studies the thrilling account of Gideon, he reads how Jehovah Shalom did indeed bring peace to Israel over the Midianites. Though this warrior and his 300 trumpet-blowing soldiers Here's this guy, his name's Gideon. He's kind of like you and me. The battle's going on and he's fearful. He's out hiding behind a little building on a threshing floor. And he's hiding there because the Midianites are down in the valley. And God speaks to him. And this is the Shalom God speaks to him and says right out of the air, Gideon, thou great man, mighty man of valor. Excuse me. And Gideon said, Who you talking about? Who you talking to? And God said, I'm talking to you, Gideon. You're going to be a great man of valor. God saw something in Gideon didn't see. But with God, a man can become a great man of valor. Let's read Sabaoth, 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 the Lord of hosts. Sabaoth is derived by the Hebrew word tishba, meaning host. The Lord of hosts is a reverence to the captain of heaven's armies. These armies are said to be composed of angels. Look at Psalm. By the way, get your pencil paper. Write this down now. Psalm 68:17, Psalm 104:4, Psalm 148:2, Matthew 26:3. Christ himself is their leader. See Joshua 5:14. The great prophet Isaiah described his vision during which he was allowed to see Jehovah. Now we crossed that bridge, Jehovah, a while back, of host. Isaiah 6:3. Write those down and look them up later. Isaiah 6:1-3 is the year of King Uzziah died. I saw the Lord sitting upon the throne, high and lifted up, and his train filled the temple. Above it stood seraphims, each one with 6 wings, with twain. He covered his face with twain. He covered his feet with twain, which is 2. And he did fly and carry onto the other, and said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. Who is that Lord of hosts? Shalom. He is the Sabbath of the whole thing. This is a tough one to say. Macadocium. The Lord thy sanctifier. The Lord thy sanctifier. Exodus 31:13, write it down, speaks thou also unto the children of Israel, saying, Verily, My Sabbaths ye shall keep, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that ye may know that I am the Lord that sanctifieth you. The great name for God, the first mentioned in Exodus, appeared many times in the following book, Leviticus. To be sanctified is to be set apart. And that is what God desires to do for his people, to set them apart for special service. When you join the Navy, you become a servant of the United States as a Navy representative. You can join in the Army, be an Army representative. You can join the Air Force, be an Air Force. You can join the Marines. You can join many other groups and be a representative of the United States of America in those groups. Each one of those groups do a different thing. Now this is like God. God having different names, he does all of these as one. He's one God, but he has all of the attributes like the United States would have all of their services. Now, I don't know what service or special forces, I guess, would incorporate all services. All of them. Army, Navy, Cross, there would be no barriers. When a special serviceman came in, he would have the authority that the colonel would in the Army. Or that the head man in the Navy, or the head man in the Marines, the head man in anything else. He would have authority over even those. A special services man. Now we have Roi, the Lord my shepherd. This is probably the one that I love the best for myself. The Lord is my shepherd. For 30 years I couldn't say that. I shall not want. For 30 years I couldn't say that. I wanted alcohol every day. Alcohol. Drink one going to bed at night. Drink one getting up in the morning. And that was my God. That's a wicked God. I'm here to tell you, it'll carry you to places you never thought you would ever in your wildest imagination believe that you ever would have been there and ended up there. Of all the compound names of Jehovah, this is the one and most easily understood title that God, good and great and chief shepherd God. Every single solitary movement we make in life needs to be directed by the shepherd. Do you know sheep are about the dumbest animal that ever walked on 2 feet? They'll walk off a cliff. They'll drown in water. They'll do things that cause themselves great grief and can kill their own selves by doing it. They would stick their head in a briar patch and get their wool caught in there and not be able to move, and the more they move, the more they get tangled, and then the wolf comes to eat them at night. That's like a man who's been saved dabbling in sin. And as he dabbles in that sin, he's like that sheep caught in that briar patch. That's why sheep have to have a shepherd, to keep them out of the briar patch, to keep them out of that place to where they would be trapped and then devoured by the enemy. All right. Tiskenu, the Lord is to our righteousness. This is one of the names of God, Tiskenu. Jeremiah 23:6. In his day Judah shall be saved, and Israel shall dwell safely, and this is the name whereby he shall be called, the Lord our righteousness. According to Jeremiah, the official name of the Messiah during the future millennium will be Jehovah Tiskenu. Will be Jehovah Tiskenu. Wow. And we saw Jehovah was God's most common name. It appeared 6,823 times, and it refers to God as being the self-existing one. The self-existing one. God of the covenant in Genesis 2 and 4. 9 compound names of Jehovah. Jehovah Jireh. And then this is one of the compound names, Tiskenu. Jehovah Nissi. That means he is our banner. And then we had Jehovah Shalom, the Lord of peace. And then we had Sabaoth, the Lord of hosts. And then we had Makadishkam, the Lord of the sanctifier. And then we had Rohi, the Lord my shepherd. And then we had Tiskenu, and that's this one we are here now. And to compound it by saying Jehovah Tiskenu. In other words, we recognize him as the beginning and the end and the middle. He's everything. He's all things. And then we have Shammah, the Lord who is present. Ezekiel 48:35. It was around about 18,000 measures, and the name of the city from the day shall be, the Lord is there. Shammah. In this passage, Ezekiel describes for us the dominions and millennium temple dimensions of the temple. This is the temple in the future of God. Then gives us the new name for Jerusalem during Earth's golden age, Jehovah Shammah. Now, there is going to be a kingdom in heaven. God is going to have a kingdom that's 1,500 miles square, every direction. It's going to be the city that God dwells in. It's going to be his city. And we're going to dwell with him. And we will experience and know all of these names. I kind of believe this. Whatever name that's given to God here in this Bible, the name that you live under is the place that you're going to be in that heavenly city. We are making our future now, right here. And God provides us to make it. He gives us that name, New Jerusalem. That's going to be that city, the New Jerusalem. That's going to be during a golden age for this earth, 1,000-year reign on this earth, where Jehovah Shammah is going to rule. And he's going to rule, if you could study out that name, it's how he's going to rule there. And then we have Rapha, Lord our healer. And that's who he was for me. In 1972, he was God Rapha. Exodus 15:26. And he said, if thou wilt diligently. Boy, it took me about 1 second. When God said, I ain't going to speak to you again, it took me 1 second to say, I will diligently hearken to the voice of the Lord. And then he became my God. And will do that which is right in his sight. And will give ear to his commandments. And I will keep his statutes. I will put none of these diseases upon thee, he said, if you keep my statutes, which I have brought upon the Egyptians. For I am the Lord that healeth thee. And he was the God that healed me. Wow. You know God's still in the healing process today. He still heals people. By this new name, God introduced to Israel the term of the heavenly Medicare. How about that? We have Medicare in the United States. It doesn't do anything but throw money and medicine at you. But God throwed health at you. And the health plan that God had while they were in Canaan, if only they had accepted this generous policy. They did not accept it. They did not. While they were in Canaan, they walked every way but the way God said. They had problems. Some followed, the majority didn't. It's like today. The nature of God. God is a spirit. Emery Vanikoff has written, God is a spirit. Incooperable. Invisible. Without material. Without substance. Without physical parts or possessions, and therefore free for all temporal limitations. We have on page 23 in Wilmington's book, if you have it, if you don't get it, Wilmington's Guide to the Bible, and become a Bible studier. Become somebody that is interested enough in the Bible to search it out. And the elemental theory is on page 23. I suppose you could go to your computer today and ask that word, E-L-E-M-E-N-T-A-L, theory, elemental theory, and come up with that answer. Jesus made this clear when he told the Samaritan woman, God is a spirit. He was saying his Father was a spirit. And they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. John 4:24. Some have been disturbed, however, as they compare this statement with the Old Testament expression which speaks of God's arms. Well, Deuteronomy 33:27, his eyes. Psalm 33:18, his ears. 2 Kings 19:16, and his mouth. Isaiah 58:14. However, these terms are simply autochromatic expressions. An anthropomatic expression is a term that is used to explain some function or characteristic of God by using words descriptive of human elements. Robert Leiter writes, such expressions do not mean that God possesses these physical parts. He is spirit, John 4:24. Rather, they mean since God is spirit and eternal, that he is capable of doing precisely the functions we are performing by these physical properties in man. The God of the Bible, page 67 in Wilmington's book. Now, do you know that we have become the arms? We have become the eyes. We have become the ears. We have become the body for God, just like Jesus became the body, sinless body, that took sin upon him, that gave you and I salvation. Through the sin, Jesus took on him the body with 2 arms, 2 eyes, 2 ears, a mouth, a mind, a body, with feet they pierced with nails, hands they pierced with nails. This person, Jesus, was God in the flesh. He was the fleshly side of God. So therefore God did have a physical hands, arms, and feet and everything in the person of Jesus Christ. He was the third part of the Trinity. You and I are a body, a soul, and a spirit. In this day and age, we do not be able to see that. Our body possesses our soul. I believe in heaven there's going to be a reversal. Our soul will possess our body because the Bible talks about being known in heaven as you're known on the earth. Now, whether this is the soul and the works show up, or whether this is the soul and we look just like we do, I know not, but I do know this. Jesus came back in that same body 3 days later and appeared and said, look at these marks in my hands and everything. And he had those. And he said, we are going to be known in heaven as we're known on the earth. So, this is a part of it. Now we come to a new scripture. Did I turn backwards or did I turn forward? Let me see where I am. This was Shammah. And I didn't check my book with my pencil. And Rapha, the Lord Hill, on Exodus 15, if thou wilt diligently hearken to the voice of the Lord God, and wilt do what is right in his sight, and give ear to his commandments, and keep all his statutes, I will put none of these diseases upon thee, which I have brought unto the Egyptians, and I am the Lord God. Now, the nature of God. God is a spirit, and we just went through that, and we also went through the part of Jesus came on the earth, and now God is a person. Again, we quote from Robert Lightner, Lightner. He said, this presently involves the existence with the power of self-conscious, self-determination. To be self-conscious means to be able to be aware of one's self among others. It is more than mere conscience. Even animals possess something which makes them aware of things around them. The brute, however, is not able to objectify himself. Man is constant to be a brute. Contrast to the brute, possesses both consciousness and self-consciousness. Now, when I studied the consciousness, and one thing a man has is self-consciousness. There's a big difference. Now, self-determination has to do with the ability to look to the future and prepare an intelligent course for action. It also involves the power of choice, and the brute also has determination, but he does not have self-determination, the power to act from his own free will and to do those determine his acts. It is usually admitted that there are three elements of personality. There is intellect, there is emotion, and there is will. Thus, as a person, God exhibits all these elements involving in personality. God made us different. My neighbor just got out, and he's walking his pit bull dog. This pit bull dog has a nature. The nature of pit bull dogs is very disturbing to a person who does not understand the dog. That man understands his dog. He doesn't believe that dog would ever turn on him. But those dogs have a nature that's unchangeable. in a big sense of the word. You bring them into captivity by putting a leash on them, putting a collar on them, by treating them a certain way, and they know they can't get away with certain things with you. But when their distinct inside works kicks in, they'll bite anybody. They can become ferocious. You let him get a touch of the little disease that dogs get, rabies, and he'll eat his own master up because his mind won't work right, and he's a ferocious animal. Even though he's tamed. A lion can be tamed, but he's still a ferocious animal. You take him out and turn him loose back where you got him from before you tamed him, and he'll do the same thing he always did. And so we're like that. God's brought us in. He's tamed us. But you let us get away from God for a minute, we become ferocious. If you want to stay trained, you've got to stay under the Word. If you want to stay what God creates in you, a new creature, to be that new creature, you got to stay in the Word. You can still be that new creature, but you can be ugly. We just had a big series on the tongue. Your tongue can cut, can kill, can maim, can cause people to go into seclusion for the rest of their life because of what somebody said about them. I meet people like that, and I'm a door knocker. I visit people. I meet people. So-and-so did 40 years ago. And you know that so-and-so that did that may not even know that he hurt that person for life, and they're in seclusion, and they won't come out. They wouldn't go to a church house for $1 million. They wouldn't go back, and they can't serve God, and they can't serve themselves, they can't serve people, they can't serve anybody because of that being eaten up by some words somebody said 40 years ago. Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. He also can destroy. Genesis 18:40, 19, 24, and 25. And the Lord said, because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is grievous. I got news for you. It does not say because their sin is grievous. Get it out and read it. It says their sin is very grievous. The first time God said very in the Bible was he said it's very good. And this he says, very grievous. Then the Lord rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven. Do you know that if you cut the engines off to a jet that was completely out of, just about ready to go into outer space, and that thing started falling, that the heat would generate, and that thing would burn up as it comes to before it hits the earth? When blocks of ice came out of heaven, they were beaming lights. They were brimstone. They were, some say that probably weighed as much as 1,500 pounds apiece, people that have studied that. And he rained those on Sodom and Gomorrah, fire from the Lord out of heaven. Here it is, solid blocks of ice, and yet it's fire out of heaven. And he overthrew the city and all the plains and all the inhabitants of the city which grew upon the ground. He destroyed that spot of land totally, 100%. By the way, I understand today, I don't think I visited that, but I understand today that it's nothing but rocks, just pebbles of rocks that were busted up, more than likely, by the ice falling down and breaking it up in the fire. He provides. Listen to this. Psalm 104, 27 through 30. These wait all upon thee, that thou mayest give them their meat in due season, that thou givest them they gather. Thou openest thine hand, they are filled with good. Thou hidest thy face, they are troubled. Thou takest away their breath, they die, and return to their dust. Thus sendeth forth thy spirit. They are created, and thou renewest the face of the earth. Man came from dust, and dust he shall return. Dig up a casket that's been in the ground for 30 years. Nothing there. Maybe some bones. The soul left the second. That man drew the last breath. Man, woman, boy, or girl draws the last breath there in the presence of God. Or they pass through the presence of God into that abyss, into hell forever. Wow. So our time is come and gone, and I would love to continue, because I've got so many things about what he promotes and how he cares and how he hears and how he hates, how he grieves, how he gives, how good his mercy is. And Mr. Ryrie tells us some things about the Trinity of God that's really, really, really important, that he is the living God. He is not a dead God. He is a living God. He's a God that operates in this world today through people that have asked him to forgive them of their sin, come in their heart, and save their soul. I was listening during the night to Dr. Jeremiah. I keep a radio station, WOAK, out of LaGrange, Georgia, the Oak. I keep it on 24 hours a day, and I was listening during the night to Dr. Jeremiah say that he was on 2,200 stations. I don't know where you live or anything, but if you can find Dr. Jeremiah on a radio station in your area, it would be worth it. This is a Bible expositor like none you've ever heard. Some people think he's dull and dry. Some people think that he is the best thing since sliced bread, and I'm one of those people. Even though he doesn't raise the roof when he preaches facts. If you're a factual person and you like facts, then you need to follow behind such a person. And like Robert Gulliver and Schofield and many others. And today, Ryrie is one of the best. And I do Oliver B. Green's books, and I follow another guy. Names leave me right now, but I love to get up early Sunday morning and get Dr. Charles Stanley out of a Baptist church in Atlanta, Georgia. Godly man, godly man, godly man. Been through some real knockdown stuff and still is in there. Boy, oh boy, nature. By nature, God made some things. Hey, everything is individual. Hey, think about a 3-leaf clover. Think about a 4-leaf clover. Hey, think about the nature of light consisting out of darkness. Think about how the rays of light makes the plants grow. Think about many, many things. Everything is from God. Everything came from God. A blade of grass growing. A tree making air that man breathes. Excuse me. Think of all of the things that we have on this earth that God made for mankind. He didn't necessarily make it for him, he made it for us. He made us for him, and he made all the stuff for us, that we may be able to have it. And then he made us heirs of everything. Psalm 94:9-10. He that planteth the ear, shall he not hear? He that formed the eye, shall he not see? He that chastiseth the heathen, shall he not correct? He that teacheth man knowledge, shall he not know? Yes, he knows us. Every single one of us. Matter of fact, he knows the number of hairs on this head. I'm 76 years old, and God has allowed me to keep hair, which I had some brothers that are on the grave now that got bald-headed, and my daddy did too. But God gave me a good head of hair. Listen, God watches over his children. I am 6 minutes past my cutoff time. Forgive me. I'll see you next time. Brother Peter with Tidbits from the Word.